important that people do have an understanding about, you know, the intention behind yoga and why we're doing it. And really it's it gives you all these ethical guidelines for living a very, you know, fulfilled and integrated life. I think it's really a holistic practice. And also meditation, you know, I teach meditation as well, and I feel like that's
an important part.
A really important part of it. And I also really like having really good anatomy teachers on the training who can teach applied anatomy, because safety, I think, is, you know, is something that we really focus a lot on. Is just
keeping different students safe in different postures.
Yeah. Well, keeping everyone safe, because a lot of you know, there are a lot of bad yoga teachers out there that are not actually giving much you know, cues for safety. You know, even simple things like putting a blanket in front of you if you're trying crow pose for the first time. You know, like make sure you have a crash pad, because you can easily fall on your face, you know. And just really taking people's safety into account so that people don't injure themselves. I mean, what I aim for is that people really have longevity in their practice.
Yes.
And that's, you know, for me, you know, I've been practicing for over 40 years, and being able to have longevity in practice is very, very important, because some students end up injuring themselves in the first year of practice, and then they have a chronic injury, you know, because they've never been taught how to do chaturanga properly, for example. So, you know, I really emphasize that in my teaching, is just that good form alignment, offering loads of options for people, so that people, you know, can practice at all different levels. You know, that's
and the other thing that interests me is that you hire yoga teachers as part of your business. When you're hiring, what kind of yoga schools, what kind of yoga teacher training are you looking for from a good employee, somebody who you hire, a good teacher?
Well, to be honest, we have teachers coming to our retreat centre who bring their own groups, so from all kinds of traditions. And we have a lot of world-class yoga teachers coming here. But in terms of who we have on a day-to-day basis teaching yoga at Surya Leela, at the moment, and I think from now on, I'm only having teachers that I've trained myself, because I'm very fussy. And I just really want them to have a very good training. And so the teachers that are teaching here are trained by Lotus Yoga International, which is my yoga label. And so I feel like I know they've had a good training, and then I can also feel free to critique them if I want, you know, because they're my students. So I did have in the past a few different teachers, and that's not to say that there aren't good teachers out there, but as I said, there's also a lot of, for me, bad trainings out there. So I think that it's really important to me that we have really high quality yoga here.
So if somebody was going to avoid a bad training, how do they do that?
It's quite challenging to know, especially if you, you know, are newer to yoga. But for me, I would really study their website in depth. I think you learn a lot by studying someone's website, what they're saying about themselves, because some of them are very generic looking, and you don't really get a feel of who your teachers are going to be and what their history is and what their background is. And I think it's very, very important that you know who's teaching on the training, and you can read their bios, and you can see that they've been teaching for a long time.
How many years do you, I mean, obviously there's lots of different shades, but if you were looking for a teacher trainer, a senior teacher to teach you as a teacher, how many years are you looking for? Are you looking for sort of 2 years, or?
No, I mean, I wouldn't even think of, you know, going to a training if somebody hadn't been teaching for 10 years, to be honest. I think, you know... And
so teaching for 10 years and not practicing for 10 years, teaching for 10 years.
I think so, because I think like, if you're looking for something really top-notch, because you want somebody who's just has that depth of experience, you know.
And that's what it's about, really, isn't it? The yoga is about transmitting experience to students of different, you know, different things that might arise.
Right, exactly. And I think also if you're going to really teach the philosophy part, it's got to come from your own practice. I mean, and if you're teaching meditation, it's got to come from having a deep meditation practice yourself. Because if you don't really have the tools to teach that, you know. And so I think there's actually not that many people who've had like, a sort of longer spiritual practice of some kind, a sort of have really studied yoga philosophy, because a lot of people are teaching it without really knowing it very well, I think. And so for me, I think the main thing you have to do if you're looking for a good training is really find out what the background of the teachers on the training are.
So you'd want them to have practiced for years before they started their teacher training?
I think
have a strong practice in themselves.
It depends again on the person.
Yeah.
There are some people that they have a very good mind-body connection. They get super into yoga and they're practicing, 4 or 5 times a week for a year. They could be ready,
Yeah, right.
But then somebody else is doing 2 classes a week and maybe they need 2 years to be ready, you know. But I usually say 2 years is a good guide, that you've been practicing that long and that you're really enthusiastic and you want to learn more about the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
And your own practice will definitely improve and you'll really get a good understanding of the postures. But I think most people who do my training end up wanting to teach, even if they didn't in the beginning.
Because they're passionate about it.
Yeah. And, there's one expression I like. Yogi Bhajan said this. He said, if you want to learn something, teach it. And I think that it's a very good thing to go by, because once you start teaching, you really have to up your game.
Yeah. That's great.
So I think, and it's fun to just start teaching your friends, even if you're not ready to go out in public. And you learn a lot through doing that.
Oh, I did that. I'm going to turn the camera on around. But yeah, one thing that I did, because a lot of people who are starting to teach are like, the first thing they do is they go into a public class. But what I did, which I found really helped me, was in an evening I'd invite my friends round to come. I'd teach them yoga and they'd all bring some food for afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was a nice way that, normally you'd just meet and hang out with your friends and you'd all just eat. But then you're doing your training, you can do your practice together, and you all meet up and you eat. Like, I think if you're able to do that with your friends, that's such a nice way of doing it. And, and teaching your family.
Absolutely.
My poor mum got my teachings.
Well, she probably loved it.
She did love it.
Yeah.
But people are very grateful, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you're at the beginning and you're not ready for people to charge and all of this.
Yeah, no, I think that your friends and family will definitely support you. And we always tell our students after the training, and they always teach 2 full classes during the training and get critiqued. So they've already done 2 classes, but then we tell them to go home and teach 10 free classes to their friends and family before they start charging or anything. Because I think that you just need the practice. I mean, there's nothing that can... in an intensive training, you can learn a lot, but you don't get to practice is what you need to do when you're going to be a good teacher. It takes time. It does. But there's nothing like practice to get you there.
And I think that's really the lesson with yoga, isn't it? Is that it does take time. And everyone now is sort of looking for quick fixes and teachers who have tricks to get you into XYZ pose and little bits and bobs. But actually, it takes time. And it's a deep practice, isn't it? It takes a few years.
Yes, definitely. And it takes time to get the strength and the flexibility. But you can. I mean, your practice can change radically in a few years. And I love to watch people's practice progress as well. I'm not really trying to progress my own right now. I'm just trying to maintain it.
I'm on maintenance levels.
Yeah, maintenance level. But, once you're in your 60s, I realise I don't have to keep trying to do the next most amazing pose. I mean, if I could maintain my practice where it is right now, into my 90s, that would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful. Your practice is amazing. Yeah. So, just keep strong, keep flexible, keep moving.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're very
welcome. Really appreciate you talking through questions for teacher trainers, and maybe at the bottom of the video, if people would like to make comments or ask further questions about Frog Lotus Yoga and your teachings, then that would be great as well.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And we could just put my website, froglotusyogainternational.com.
Lotus Yoga International.com.
I can give you my card.
And there's going to be a link from Movement for Modern Life onto there as well.
We have links
it's
already
there.
I've got like all my practices are in.
So you do go onto Vidya's page and you'll see the links, and you can click onto the links.
On my bio page I have all the different practices that I've done on Movement for Modern Life. You can click on them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.